Hey guys, hopefully you don't think that the title is too much of a clickbait, because it genuinely wasn't. I was very close to giving up and quitting Wild Rift and potentially even quitting YouTube altogether. And it's because of something that happened last week that I'm going to tell you a little bit about in a moment. But first, I need to give you like a bit of background as to why I'm feeling the way I was feeling. I feel better now, and I'm going to talk about at the end about my plans and how I'm feeling. But to give you a bit of background so that you understand the story a bit better, I think it's best we start with me. I've always tried to treat you guys as family and as friends, and I've been quite open. You've seen a lot of my life on this channel. You've seen Rupert, you've seen a bit of Arthur, you've heard me talk about my life in general over the last 4 or 5 years. And that's been really important to me because I see you guys as like my family. I talk to you guys as if you're my family sometimes. And I really appreciate the names that I see recurring and the names that I've seen recurring over numerous years in this channel, because it makes me feel like there have been people with me on the entire journey. I used to be a doctor. At the 2015, so when I was 23 years old, I left medical school with the intent of going to work in a hospital. But I really hated it. I did not want to be a doctor. I could go into a whole story behind that, but it would take another 20 minutes of this video, and I just don't have 20 minutes to talk about it. The TLDR, though, is that I applied when I was 16, and I very quickly realized that it was not the career for me. However, I qualified. In that same year, I was given an opportunity to go and be a full-time esports shoutcaster because of Super Evil Megacorp and their esports efforts with Vainglory. I was introduced to them by Vedius, who now works for the LEC, and I will forever be grateful for him, because that allowed me to become a full-time commentator in esports. A dream that I'd had in university when I was doing it part-time, did literally nothing for 2 years before I even got my first paid gig. I was finally able to do it as a full-time endeavor, and it meant the world to me. And so that esports and that commentating for the last 7 years has been an integral part of my identity. I have always seen myself as a commentator. I've always seen myself as someone who's loved doing voiceovers, loved being on camera, loved doing shows, and that has become a core part of how I view myself. And as such, it's been a really important part of my life. And that also ties into YouTube. I started YouTube to give myself credibility as a Vainglory caster. I made mathematical, analytical videos so that when I appeared on a Vainglory broadcast, it wasn't just who's this absolute giga random that I have no idea about. It was, this is Excoundrel. He's got a YouTube channel. He does analytical breakdowns on Vainglory, and I respect his opinion. And that was what I did. And it worked for me, and it worked. I think I built a really good brand in Vainglory. And I did that the same thing for Auto Chess, and then went to cast the Auto Chess World Finals. I did the same thing in TFT, and then did some TFT casting. And to be completely honest with you, I did the same thing in Wild Rift. I started and built on Wild Rift because I really wanted to become a Wild Rift commentator. And part of my motivation, I would say a good chunk of my motivation for creating YouTube videos, is that I remain relevant for esports. People will look at me as an esports hire and say, that guy has got 7 years of on-camera experience, but not only that, he creates content for the game, and he's really invested in the community. He clearly loves the game. He clearly knows a lot about the game, and that's why. And combine the fact that I'm a relatively high-ranked player at Grandmaster. You know, as a commentator, being a high-ranked player, I think is a good thing. Although it's not the be-all and end-all, I think it does give you insight into how the game is played at the highest level that you can't really get without playing firsthand. And I think that I worked hard to set myself up as a good choice commentator for Wild Rift. And as such, last year I did a lot of the Wild Rift esports, and I was so happy doing it, because for those of you that don't know, I've kind of given up League of Legends casting, mostly because I don't see a future for myself in it, because I'm not moving to Berlin with my family, and realistically there is limited opportunities for me to do what I do from the UK. Wild Rift, however, it's much more amenable for a freelance caster like myself to do some small traveling gigs. I can do a lot of it from home, and it allowed me to continue something that was really important to me in a game that I cared deeply about. So why was I upset? Well, I think some of you guys might have connected the dots by now. I was in talks to do some wildrift European casting for the WREC. I was pretty confident that I was going to be a choice for that particular broadcast. I have 7 years of commentary experience. I'm deeply invested into the game and into the esports side of it. I'm a high-ranked player. People generally respect what I have to say. People think that I think a lot of pro players respect how I break the game down and the kind of what I say on broadcast. I really felt like I was a good choice for the broadcast. Now, this is where we get to the part that actually counts. Last week, I was basically told, we don't really want to use you. Which, for me, was heartbreaking. Absolutely devastating. Because I almost felt like all the work that I'd put in was for nothing. And I'll explain why in greater detail. Firstly, it's really important to note that there is no one to blame here other than myself, realistically. And I'm not going to point fingers or name names, but I will just say that Riot is not to blame in any way, shape, or form here. Neither are any of the casters that have actually been confirmed to cast the WREC, which you'll see soon enough. Riot is not to blame, neither of those guys. And most of the blame lies on myself. I'm not going to go into the full story because it just becomes a blame game, and I don't want anyone to start pointing fingers or creating a fuss in my account. But TLDR, I didn't manage a relationship properly, partly due to lack of experience in the role that I was given, and partly due to the fact that I had Rupert. Emily gave birth to Rupert partway through the split of this product. So when we were doing the broadcasting, about a month and a half in, we had Rupert. And my commitment to the product wavered significantly as I spent more time with Rupert and with the family. That's not a problem in its own right, but the way that I managed the relationship because of that was on me, and that was my fault. And unfortunately, that relationship I never took steps to repair properly. And only recently have I taken those steps once confronted with what happened last week. But needless to say, my mismanagement of that relationship was a key factor into why I was not included or not asked initially to do wildrift esports casting. So I was absolutely devastated. I was super upset with myself. I felt like my dream had been taken away from me through something that I thought was in the past, realistically. And I teared up several times. I tried to create a video, but I was just too upset to talk about it. And it really, really impacted my motivation to continue with YouTube. And I didn't see myself coming back from that blow. I really, really felt that was it. And to be fully transparent, I am now in conversations to potentially appear on the wildrift European broadcast, but it has not been confirmed. But I'm hoping that I'll get to be on there. And, like I said, I have apologized and hopefully tried to mend some of the errors that I made a few years ago, basically. So yes, that is why I was really sad and really demotivated, because I love wildrift, and wildrift esports is extremely important to me. But I really wanted to be involved, and I think I'm good enough to be there as well. I think, and that's what I think. My own confidence got knocked because my initial response was, am I not good enough? Like, am I maybe not as good as I think? But I know that I am. I know that I am. I've done this for 7 years, and a lot of people really think I am good at what I do, and so I just needed to pick myself back up, and that's led me to how I'm feeling now. Instead of giving up, even though I took a break and it was a bit of an extended break, instead of giving up, I've decided that I am going to come back and try harder than ever. I'm going to work really hard on the content that I produce. However, I'm going to change it up slightly. I'm not going to do gameplay as much anymore, guys. The reason being is that I can't really compete with people like Hell's Devil and Darkbreaker in gameplay. I'm not as interesting. I'm a 30-year-old dad. I don't have the kind of like the PogChamp personality shit. Like, I'm just a straight talking guy, and I guess some people maybe don't find me as entertaining. So I'm going to focus on what I am good at. I'm good at analyzing. I'm good at breaking down. I'm going to do esports breakdowns. I'm going to look at what the best players in the world are doing. I'm going to do Obviously tier lists still, because that's like the bread and butter. I'll do patch notes reviews, of course, and I'm going to do those podcast things with Stu. But I'm going to focus on what I am good at on this channel and try and build into that more. But I also want to know what you guys would like to see from me, and I know you guys will want to see my gameplay. And if you really are wanting to see my gameplay, I can put it up on a separate channel, or maybe just do like one gameplay video a week. But no one wants to see me play Galio 10 times in a row, you know. So that's why I decided to change it up. Ah, God. Oh, it feels better talking about this, honestly. It really does. So yeah, that's and I want to do it because I want to be at the point where the hiring people don't have a choice other than to accept me, because I am still considered one of the best at what I do. So I'm going to try really fucking hard to be really good and prove that I'm really good. I know I'm good, but maybe I just need to show everyone that I am again. And I'm gonna come back at it harder, because I really want to. I really want to do Wild Rift esports commentary. I really do. And I want to be on Wild Rift Worlds this year. I want to cast the fucking final of Worlds. You know, that's my ambition. That's my goal. And I'm hoping that I get that shot. So here we are, guys. This is where I'm at. Thank you for listening. If you listened this far, I'll actually put timestamps in here so you don't have to listen to my freaking life story if you don't want to. But there you go. Boom. Cheers, guys. I hope you enjoyed the random Yasuo gameplay that I had on the side as well. I actually was really proud of this Yasuo game. I had a banger. All right. Anyway, see you soon.